So OpenAI just dropped a new tool called ChatGPT Agent, and Grant and I are going to try it out for the first time right now. All right, welcome humans to another episode of the Neuron podcast. I'm Corey Noles, here with our awesome writer Grant Harvey as always. Say hi, Grant.
What's up? How's it going?
Going great, man. Going great. I always love launch day. Launch day gets me excited. How about you?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's really awesome when it's something that actually is cutting edge, like what we're about to do today.
Yeah, what we're about to see is this is to quote ChatGPT, this is a real game changer. Uh, and I don't say that lightly. It's pretty cool, and I think something I want to say on the precipice of, but we're kind of cartwheeling and tumbling right into right now is a real change in the way we use the internet and computers. Things are about to look a lot different, and what we're going to show you today is a really interesting glimpse into that.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll intro the tool in just a minute, but I think it's important to point out a couple things. First of all, what is an agent? Second of all, how have we made agents or agents up until this point? And then why what we're about to show you is a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So first of all, Corey, what in your opinion is an agent?
When you ask me what an agent is, you should know that I disagree with a lot of people on this subject. It's a thing where I get really lost in the semantics, kind of, because, over the last year, a lot of companies have come out and started talking about their agents and all of this. And what they're really doing, in my opinion, is busting out Zapier automations that can do a task over and over once you set it up and build out this whole thing. And in my eye, truly agentic AI is the ability to have your AI tool do something autonomous, to make decisions throughout the process, to understand what tools it needs to use, and just go figure that out and come back with a result that is without a human in the loop, unless there's a need for one at some point. I mean, if it needs to come back and ask a question, that's not a disqualifying factor for agenthood in my eyes. But I do believe that it should be, and you may disagree with this, I don't know, it should be able to go and do the thing on its own without me needing to be a software engineer to set it up, without me having to go and set up a billion different things and build out a process and reconsider how I think about doing things. I should be able to say the words, go grab this stuff from my email from now on. I want you to, anytime I get an email like this, just drop it in my Slack so I notice. That is what I consider to be truly agentic. What
Okay,
about
that's
you?
fair. Yeah, that's fair. So what you're basically talking about is that I think even as soon as 2023, people were marketing agents when
Yes.
really what they were marketing was called an agentic workflow. And
Yes.
I'm going to show a tool. So you mentioned Zapier is one tool that people use for this. Another one is basically N8N. And this is the popular one. The reason it's popular is because it's open source, so anyone could download it and run it on their computer. But you can also just use it through the cloud. And
Zapier is
essentially how
kind of
this
the totally code-free version of this, I would say.
it's no code. So yeah,
Yeah.
so N8N is similar to that. And basically you work via node with all of these tools. So you
Yeah.
have a little node here that says when this trigger happens, you send it to the AI. And as way back as 2023, people were basically, instead of having an agent here, they would do something like this where you just send it to, let's say, like ChatGPT. Then based on what the ChatGPT input is, it would go and it would spit out an output, and then it would the node tool would take that output and then send it through this process. And it's all kind of
And have
highly
to choose a
engineered.
route maybe depending on the result. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So it was a highly engineered process where basically you, whether you're a software engineer or someone who, isn't, but you were using the no code tool, would put together the exact steps, the formula essentially for how the AI would do stuff. And N8N is a very popular tool to do that. Now, the difference I think between what you're talking about and what I just described is kind of visualized here by this new node that N8N has created, which is called the AI agent node. And in order for something to be an agent versus agentic, so in the previous example, I'm the one coming up with all the steps that the AI has to do. I'm thinking it through, I'm
Yes.
reasoning, and then I'm hitting a trigger that lets the AI act. So,
Yeah.
in order for it to be a true agent, the agent has to be the one that does the reasoning, and basically that's possible with N8N and what's called this agent node, and essentially the idea of agentic AI in general, where you get a trigger, you send it to the agent, then the agent goes to the AI model here, and then it based on the instructions that you give it, it then comes up with a plan and it executes via tools. So it's
Yeah.
deciding and it's acting. And that's
Yeah.
sort of what makes it an agent. Would you agree with that?
I agree with that. I agree with that. I think the difference I would say is that this is still a thing built for a specific process.
Uh-huh.
This is still you have built an agent to onboard employees. Is what I would say is the difference. Where for me, what I'm looking for is an agent that can go off and do whatever the heck I decide I need to be done and understands to go, maybe go build an agent itself and spin that up to do those processes.
Yeah, no, that's totally valid. So essentially, you want an agent that you don't even have to specify what process to do. It just, you give
Yeah.
it the prompt and it
Yeah.
comes up
And,
with the
it's
answer.
absolutely capable of telling you what this workflow should be. So what I want it to do is go make that workflow do the thing and that not be my problem. To me, truly agentic AI doesn't require me to worry about this step, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally makes sense. Totally makes sense. So what you're talking about has been sort of visualized with Chat GPT in the form of what's called um, codex, operator, and deep research. So the first
Mhm.
agent that pretty much anyone shipped, and now all the main AI models do this, is deep research, where you go in, you give it a task to go out and research, like find me data on, the top AI companies. And then it'll go out and it will ask you a couple follow-up questions, and then it'll research that on its own. I'll just let you decide. And then it'll go off and it'll research that. And this was the
Yeah.
first kind of like true agent where you have a quick conversation and then it goes off and it can basically do it all itself. Then they released this thing called Operator. And Operator is a bit different where it actually creates a instanced version of the AI running on a cloud computer somewhere, and it's like actually using a web browser and trying to accomplish the task for you. So just say you decide base it in Los Angeles. And I'm not even reading this, I'm just giving it
Yeah.
instructions to kind of show you just a quick tool. And so as you can see over here, it has this thinking process. You can kind of watch the way that it works, but it's kind of would you say this is a true agent, Corey, based on what you
I would. I mean, I would say that one of the differences is with operators specifically, generally it was like a task you're sending it out for. And you still are, but I think what we're going to be looking at with ChatGPT Agent is the ability to handle much larger, uh, bigger tasks.
definitely? And we can get into that right
Yeah,
now.
I agree. So we're breaking into ourselves here for a reason. We've come back and we're re-recording because we had this conversation that you've just listened to about what is and isn't an AI agent or agentic AI or true autonomous AI. And as they so love to do to us, OpenAI has called our bluff and released ChatGPT Agent, which is uh, a super interesting thing that we felt like was worth re-recording some of what we've done to get it into this episode.
Corey, it is literally what you described an agent to be, isn't it?
It is exactly what I was like, "That's not an agent. That's a Zapier automation." I'm like, "This is an agent." And then the next day at, I don't know, 12 o'clock, midday, we're both like, they did this thing."
Yeah. So
So
let's recap exactly what it is. So it's basically Operator, which operates a computer and can use web search remotely, and deep research, which, as everyone knows, is basically the AI goes out, searches a bunch of websites and links, and compiles a report that sometimes between 5 to 30 minutes it'll go out and do this for. And also, it can make spreadsheets and presentations. So, and you talk to it all in a chat interface. Exactly what you described you wanted out of an agent. How do you feel?
I feel vindicated. That's what I feel. I've been having this argument for years since since companies first started grabbing the word agent and throwing it around like they knew what they were talking about. And it was a thing that has just like they're still super useful. Don't get me wrong. Those AI agent tools that companies are building are useful in a lot of aspects.
Mhm.
But what this is something that's useful to people. It's useful to individual contributors at a company. It's useful in your daily life. Like, I've got a thing I wanna try on here later on, maybe while we're on here even, that I've been working on that's, I wanna see if it can help. Um,
Cool. I like that.
it's yeah, I feel vindicated, and, I will say, obviously, it's new.
Yep.
And I'm sure that, anytime a new product releases from OpenAI, there is a week or so of you can barely get on, just like when a new video game patch drops, like, patch day is always an experience.
Definitely.
And so is new tool day.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so I got access to this yesterday because I have the pro account for the Neuron. And they are going to roll this out to Plus and Teams users as well, and eventually
High five
Enterprise.
for
And
that, by the way.
yeah, it's awesome because they could totally keep this gated. I mean, I think Operator was gated behind a paywall of the $200 pro tier for a really long time. So that thing that we showed y'all earlier, like you couldn't use that. I got access to it later in the afternoon and it worked perfectly fine. I had no problems. But I think that's because we're still at the rollout where Pro is the only ones who have the account, and soon it'll roll out to Plus and everybody else. He said next
Yeah.
this week, so presumably by the end of the weekend, if not today
Yeah.
at the time. By the time you're listening to this, basically, we're recording this on
Yeah, you
Friday. So
probably have access by now.
yeah. So should we take it for a spin, Corey?
Let's take it for a spin. Let's show them what we've got, and then we'll talk about it some more after.
Sounds good. So I'm gonna share my screen. Here's the interface. This is essentially how it works. So over here, remember we showed you there's codecs and operator.
Mhm.
Agent is a lot simpler. Basically, all you do is you go to the tools section here and you select agent mode. And as you see, it also gives you a little countdown of how many you have left. So here I've got 396 left. August 16th, that's my birthday. Okay. Anyway, so that's all it takes. Another thing you can do with it, which is kind of cool, is you can just type \agent if I can use my keyboard, and it goes into agent mode. So that's pretty cool as well. And then another cool way to get to this, just because I'm a nerd and I found this stuff interesting, is if you go to the top browser bar and you hit hints equals agent, boom, opens a new chat in
Ooh,
agent mode. All right. Kind of fun stuff.
that's
So
kinda sick, actually.
yeah, and you can do that, by the way, you could do that with any of the tools. Like you can do research and it'll switch to research mode. So it's just kind of a fun thing to know, like if you wanted to
Yeah.
save a couple bookmarks for this. Okay, so let's actually take this for a spin. So we had Claude read all of the uh, capabilities of Agent, and we went ahead and we had it create some sample prompts for us. So we're going to try this one. This is create a complete competitive intelligence system. All right, so
This is
re-
pretty cool.
research 5 competitors in industry. Let's pick an industry, Corey.
Let's pick an industry. Let's do
SEO in honor of
there we
our
go.
coworker Cal. Visiting their
Yeah,
website to
gotta love a
extract
boy.
pricing features, customer testimonials, and recent updates, then searched for their latest news, press releases, and social media presence. Maybe like SEO tools. Makes more sense. Create a dynamic spreadsheet with SWOT analysis, feature comparison, matrix pricing analysis, and marketing positioning. Generate 15-slide executive presentation with data visualizations, competitive insights, and strategic recommendations. All right, that's a lot. Let's see what it can do. We're going to go ahead and run this here. So Right now, what's happening, if you're just listening, is it's setting up its desktop. So one of the really cool things about this is that it basically has its own computer that it runs on. So it's not running in the background of your computer, it's actually running in the cloud on its own computer.
I assume a virtual machine, probably?
Yeah, that's my understanding. Yeah. And so right now, basically, it's got this loading bar, and it says, "Sure, I'll build a comprehensive competitive intelligence system for SEO tools." And then it does ask us some questions while this is loading. Now, what happens if you just like auto time out is it'll just automatically prompt it to continue, and it will just decide how it wants to act. So if I let this loading bar go all the way, it would just automatically go ahead with the task, which is awesome because then you could spin up a task for it to do, have it go off and do it, and you don't even have to respond like with deep research, where
Yeah.
deep research will have you answer a couple questions.
This is why this is agentic. This is the reason I argue about this, is I was like, we shouldn't have to build out our own complex architecture for an agent to do a thing. For tasks that can be super repetitive, that's fine, but that's gonna be here too, you know?
So I
If
just
you've
went
got the
ahead.
Pro account with 400, okay, yeah, there you go, you decide. I like it.
Yeah, sorry. You can continue while we let this thing cook. All
Oh,
right, this is
wow.
pretty awesome. Corey, give me your reaction to watching this in real time because I've seen this once before, but
I I'm impressed. Like I'm watching some sci-fi stuff here.
a lot of people have commented that the UI is very beautiful, the way that it
It
basically
is.
loads everything. So it's technically, I think it's in its own browser. Like it has its own sort of like mini browser that it's working in, unless this is
I wonder if
generated.
that's the OpenAI browser we're all going to get soon.
I mean, this is very basic, so I imagine whatever they create will be a little bit more upscale than this, but in theory, this could be
I
like the
would expect
prototype
it
of
to
it.
be pretty minimalist. I mean, you look at most of what they do, aside from the fact that the tool interface has gotten a lot more tools and a little busier as a result, at its core, they've always been a pretty minimalist company. When you look at their site, if you look at the way they present a blog article,
It's
stuff like
true.
that, and honestly, I would love a more minimalist browser. There's a lot going on in Chrome, man.
So here's an interesting insight. So it looks like it's searching and reading a lot of affiliate sites, which is kind
And
of unique.
sharing its thought in talk bubbles, by the way,
Yeah,
which is
that's
pretty
cool.
sick.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna search for the Ahrefs follower count for 2024. It seems it's considering. You see that?
Yeah, so it's basically combining like the deep research thought process with operator where it's thinking over the UI. And look at how fast this is. Compare this to the demo we gave of
Yeah.
operator. That thing was slow. It was like reloading every couple seconds.
And it was
Like
still slow. I'd also like to add, if you haven't noticed, that it's thinking faster than it's typing.
you're right.
Like, it's not finishing typing its thought before it moves on to the next one quite often. Like, I can't read that. Uh, Fair question. So, I wonder if it logs that.
Yeah, I'm really fascinated how it works under the hood. I'm sure this information will slowly come out over time. And if you read the system card will give away, essentially some of the how this works, but it's just really interesting to watch it.
I
So
want Wow.
go ahead.
Yeah, I want this to help me buy a guitar.
Well, we could do that. So like here, let's spin up
Wait, so it
another.
spin up multiple at once?
Yep. Yeah, I had this thing do two prompts for me earlier. So okay.
Wow.
So
That's pretty
give me
rad.
give me
Yeah,
your
now that you
prompts.
have this abundance of 400 of these a month. Uh,
I don't know how this is going to scale for them. I mean, I'm sure people will very soon be running multiple ones of these a day.
if there's flexible credits, $20, 40 is 10% of 400. My guess is 20 bucks will get you another 40.
Hmm.
Because they've mentioned a flexible credit option as well to get more if you need them. And
Right.
I'm thinking that, maybe that's the answer. Maybe I could change my subscription to $20 plus a $20 bump up every month or something.
Hmm.
Sam, are you
Interesting.
listening? Come on the show. Let's talk. We got questions, man. Lots of questions.
So Corey, give me the prompts. What do you want to buy for your guitar? Let's pull
I'll
that
tell
up.
you what, here's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a 70s or early 80s Gibson Les Paul Custom in black. I want it to be player grade because I'm not a rich man. I think that's really about the extent of it. I want to be able to finance it through a firm. Let's add that in
Got
there
it.
too. I think that's a good addition.
Here's what I have written. We want a 70s, early 80s Gibson Les Paul custom in black, player grade. I'm not wealthy. I want to be able to finance it through a firm. Anything else?
Let's say for under $125 a month.
All right.
And let's just see what she gives us.
So I'm gonna
I'm so
pull
excited.
this. I'm gonna pull this one up. We're gonna switch here. So we're going to the new tab.
I've been, for anyone who hasn't noticed, I'm a bit of a guitar nerd as well as an AI nerd. And I have been phone stalking these on Reverb online for the last month.
Well, one of
I owned
the
one once before and
promises.
I miss it so bad. I want it back. And I can't wait to see what it comes back with. And if it might come back with one of the ones I've been looking at, which would be really interesting. But if it comes back with the right one, I'll be even more excited.
Yeah, that's actually a good test because you've already searched this separately. Real quick, I want to point out two things that happened there. So one, it didn't ask any follow-up questions. It understood the assignment and it just went for it.
And it
So
went
that's
to
pretty
Reverb,
cool.
which is where I look.
Really? That's good to
Yeah,
know.
that's where I shop. Reverb is like a secondary marketplace. Now, a lot of stores have new stuff on there as well, but it's a great place for musicians to sell gear to one another as well because it allows for. I have looked at that guitar.
Really?
Uh, yeah, yeah, I have, but
Oh wow,
it's
we're
out of my
cooked.
range.
Oh, we are so cooked.
We are so toast. Yeah,
All right. So, and as you can see, I've got both of them going at the same time here. So you can definitely run two at once. And
I
it
should have
will give
also
you,
had it include a guide on how to convince my wife that I need this.
I wonder if I could follow. Make sure to include a guide at the end to convince my wife that I need this.
She's a critical stakeholder in this venture.
She's a critical stakeholder in this venture. Arguably the most critical.
Yes, I
So let's
love
see
it.
what happens. I've never done this before. So I kind of cut it off mid search here. And
Okay.
so it's sort of adjusting to me saying that. Um, let's
She's
see.
probably hearing this. You should know that. She's getting ready for work 2 rooms down.
I've got your additional request. I'll integrate a persuasive guide at the end to help your wife to convince your wife of the importance of this purchase. In addition to finding financing options for 70s or early 80s Gibson Les Paul custom in black, I'll continue gathering information. All right, so let's check in on our other task. So the thing about these is that,
Whoa, it just bounced right between them there, Grant.
oh
How are
yeah,
you doing that? Can you show us? Oh, 2 windows. Gotcha.
yeah, I got two windows. I switched the sharing.
It doesn't seem to have slowed this one down either.
Nope, they're completely instanced. They're completely separate from one another. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. So,
Grant, when playing with this, what's
mhm.
your feel on the accuracy?
Yo, I got no idea. That's the thing. So one of the problems with agentic systems is that, the longer a task goes on, and because of the risk of hallucinations, the harder it is to check to see if it's correct, and the failure rate goes up. So for every additional step that the AI has to take because of hallucinations, the failure rate can go down. Now, OpenAI is pretty confident that that's not as big of an issue as we would want, but they did still warn about that and said, "Hey, this is an early tool." And one of the things to keep in mind with this is that there's also a lot of system risk. So, for example, once this thing starts rolling out to everybody, malicious actors could embed secret instructions to the AI on some of these websites it's looking at. And if we're not careful through prompt injection, which is they secretly inject a prompt into the AI mid like search here, that could lead to a lot of potential security risks. So something to keep in mind.
That's interesting. And I think where this Gibson request here will come in handy is that I know this stuff. I know this stuff good, and I know it inside and out, and if it's wrong, I'll know.
But so far, you've been able to track what it's looking at, and it's looked at some of the same things you've looked at, right?
It has. Oh, access to this page has been denied. Oh,
Mm.
it's Sweetwater's like, "No, you can't shop on our site, Mr. AI man."
Interesting. Now, one thing that'll happen is sometimes the AI will prompt you to help it log in if there's an account it needs. That's similar to Operator. Operator would do that, where it sort
Yeah.
of asks you to take over. So that is something that could happen at some point. But in this case, it's just kind of moving on and figuring it out.
Oh, I was wondering if it might have us click, but I guess the truth is it's probably recognizing this browser that's the problem. So that's a thing you're gonna run into, you should probably be prepared for, is that there are sites that have, in their robots.txt files blocked, AI bots from, visiting, and so that could be an issue you'd run into on some sites. I don't think it'll be a long-term issue, though. I think that's a thing people will reverse as we go through time and this becomes more a part of our day-to-day work and life. I think we'll see solutions in there that allow for that without it, just being able to come in and rack up 20,000 views in a day and have your AWS bill go up $80,000.
I think what's gonna happen. So we wrote about this a week or so ago that Cloudflare, excuse me,
Yeah,
huge website hoster, probably hosts a third of the internet on it. They
yeah.
have a new system that essentially is going to charge bots or allow publishers to charge the bots to scrape the website. So I think once we get to the point where publishers can monetize bot traffic, and maybe not the same way that they monetize human traffic, but that they can monetize it, period. So that, to your point, it doesn't rack up huge bills on AWS for them, and actually it could be a profit center
Oh,
for
we got
them.
a terminal window. Hang on.
Oh, what is happening here?
Hello there. What you doing?
Correcting bash quoting. Oh, see, did it get? How do you take over this thing? Let's see. Activity takeover browser. Okay, so we can ask it to stop. And then it gives me this warning. You're about to control
Oh,
ChatGPT's browser. Let's see what it's doing.
I'd
Hold on.
cancel. It just gives a wall of text. Oh,
Bash report.
dang.
It's creating a report in Markdown on the browser in the terminal. What the heck? Oh, maybe that's what it does when it's done.
Background and price expectations. Yeah, built in Kalamazoo is the thing I'm looking for. The Norland era, that's correct. That's exactly the era. Mahogany bodies, carved maple tops. Some of them have a maple neck. Ebony fingerboards, yeah. $34.99 to $83.99. That's probably average. You can find them cheaper. You can
Okay.
occasionally find them in right around 3, but not but it's rare. Like you gotta be on your game and watching as they hit.
Uh,
Financing options, Affirm. Carter Vintage uses Affirm? I didn't need to know that. Carter Vintage in Nashville is a cool shop.
are we sure? Let's see.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. Let's see. Do they have
They
Affirm?
use Affirm. Yep.
Yep. Okay. Okay.
What up? Pretty
And
accurate.
Reverb definitely uses Affirm. Guitar Center Gear card is a thing. Gibson has a Synchrony card. Yeah, like a normal credit card.
I'm just gonna check a couple of these to see how accurate it is. Oh, well, this opened it in the ChatGPT browser window. I wonder if that was what it was supposed
Examples
to
of
do.
available interest. See, that's a Cherry Sunburst. Now I asked for black. Uh,
That's key.
but it does say you could finance it for $120 a month, which is interesting. 79 custom black beauty. Yeah, this is looking a little bit more expensive than what I've been looking at. That's okay though.
Which one of these were you trying to get? Do any of these are any of these what you found yourself?
Scoot over. The one I'm after right now is actually a 1980, my birth year. that I'm looking at and strongly considering, and it's at the very bottom end of this here. Okay, notes on reducing cost. Player, you mentioned a willingness to buy a player grade. These guitars have cosmetic wear, replace tuners, or maybe non-original pickups. That's correct. Little effect on playability. Correct. Sometimes I'd argue they play better. Uh, Norland era deluxes are standards. That's fair. You know, that's a reasonable thing. It's just that specifically, I want the black Les Paul custom. But that's absolutely a fair workaround. Persuasive guide for your wife, the critical stakeholder.
This is what the people really want to know.
Yeah,
Okay, it's an
it's an
investment,
investment.
not a frivolous purchase. Okay.
A well-maintained custom is likely to retain or even increase its value. Should you ever need to sell, there is a strong secondary market. It's very true. Long-term value versus monthly cost. Yeah. Longer-term financing plan can be around $114 a month. I like
Is that
that.
true? Let's see.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. I'd say that's maybe a little low. It depends. Well, it says 48 or 60 month. Yeah, that would be accurate on 48 or 60. I don't usually go that long. I'm looking at that on like 3 years normally. Like 3 is the
Mm.
max I'll go. I generally try to put them on 12 to 18 when I do it. So like I have this rule where I can finance one guitar and everything's paid off.
Yeah.
That's why I'm shopping.
Yeah, that's fair. Durable and
Uh,
future proof. Quality
yeah.
improves practice and well being.
Mhm.
Shared enjoyment. Involve your wife in the decision. Perhaps take her to a local shop to hear and feel the guitar. She may appreciate the craftsmanship and understand why this instrument inspires you. Babe, you gotta see why this matters to me. Okay, don't you hear the sound? Think about I'll play you songs, beautiful serenades. I'll sing to you. Like
Oh my
compromise,
gosh.
transparency, and oh, compromise and transparency.
R
Show how you plan to fit the payments into the household budget. Okay, this is pretty solid.
This
So
really is. Like there's nothing here that I would say is wrong. I'd say it maybe reached a little bit outside of the zone we gave it because it's a little challenging to find them in that price range, and I know that's hard.
let's see what happens if I say we just want the black 1980s one.
See if it just comes back with a few options that are close enough. Yeah, I mean, maybe if we said, "Listen, I'm a little flexible on the monthly payment," I mean, there might be other options we could do.
Let's go back and check on the SEO.
Our competitive intelligence tool is still being built.
So it seems like right now what's happening is it's working on the presentation slides using Node. So Node, that would be probably Node.js, I imagine. And
I
it
would
looks like
imagine,
it's
yeah,
coding a bunch of stuff.
a
Oh,
bunch.
yeah. So it's doing this all in the terminal. I wonder if that's how it creates all the presentations and spreadsheets when it's
That's a
outputting
good
stuff.
question. Maybe?
Hmm. I wonder what it's doing. Let me ask it. Or activity? Oh
Oh,
yeah,
there
you
we
can.
go.
Oh,
Oh,
this
you
is
do get an
cool.
activity view. Okay, okay. So you can go back and read its thought process because that's important. Because sometimes, if you see something that's a problem, you can go back through the thought process and sort of pinpoint
Yeah.
where it went off track.
Yeah, that's huge.
And to be honest, these aren't like little baby requests we're giving this. These are, I mean, like, we're not saying, "Hey, I need you to check my email and look for anything important and ditch the rest." We're saying, which is
Which, by the way,
absolutely
they
why
do
I'm excited.
suggest they do suggest not doing that. And the reason is because if you just let it go read all your emails, there could be a malicious email in
Yeah.
like you need to be really specific when you use it in the email.
Like
Like
that
say,
situation Gemini is dealing with this week where, uh, phishers have been putting in white text into phishing emails that look perfectly normal, and when Gemini summarizes it, it gives you a phone number to call to reset your password that is not a Google phone number. So,
that is very shady. This is the first
little
I heard
heads
of
up,
that.
you should be careful with Gemini's email summarizer right now. They're working on a fix for it, but my understanding is now by the time you watch this, it may be fully rolled out and you may be good to go. I would check that out before you use it again, just to be sure. They're working on a fix. And these things are going to happen. Like these are going to have vulnerabilities. They're going to get patched just like everything else in our technical life these days.
So I guess what I'm wondering is, does this kind of negate the need for an N8N style like agentic workflow where you do everything via node and sort of stitch it together. Like is this truly going to replace that, do you think?
For individuals, I think, yes. At the individual contributor level, even in a business, I think it does. What I will say is that there's absolutely still a value to that style of AI agent.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting that that came first, but that's another discussion. Uh, I think there are still tasks that are repetitive, that you want exactly the same every time, that you want maybe piped directly into your CRM or piped directly into, I don't know, your whatever. And I think those kind of tasks, an end-to-end solution will still have some value. But um, I don't know that it's going to be the level that I would have said 24 hours ago.
I know. Yeah. We spent all this time working on this guide to teach people how to use N8N from scratch and with MCP, and then and then out comes Agent and just sort of blows that need for that up. I think though it's like N8N does have a lot of customization. It gives you a lot more control over the process. Like instead of just letting this go off and cook, you can kind of see what it's doing on the back end with the nodes, even when you use the agent node. Yeah, I wanna highlight a couple things out
Ooh,
of
I
this
haven't
story.
seen that one.
That's awesome. Very cool. Did
I
you
would love
notice
to
that when it
with
was on
that.
the last website, it made sure to check the color, filter black so that it would only look for black guitars? I thought that was
Yeah,
interesting. Yeah.
that is interesting. You know, I think, there's always going to be a need for large scale, data piping and processes like that on the back end of a business that stuff that makes a business run. The stuff that
Correct.
is right now what engineers do, that, they're working on that architecture, that plumbing that keeps the internet functioning.
Yeah.
While I think some of that will absolutely be done this way, whenever we see, what I would say is the Pro Tools version of this that backend guys will be using, because I mean, there's absolutely an impact here on how a codex type tool works as well, I would say in the long run.
Interesting.
But I
I
I I think there will be a value for those kind of options still. I still think there's gonna be a need for some software. I just think that what we're gonna see both as writers, as software engineers, even, maybe SEO people or something at some point in the future, to give another nod to our friend, uh,
Mhm.
is a day that looks different and has different tasks than what we're used to, with a higher volume of things being done with less effort than they have been in the past.
I could totally see that. I wanna give this one more example before we jump off here. It seems
I
like
think that's a good idea.
it's got a little bit stuck on the slides that we asked it for originally. I don't know if we prompt it differently, if it'll kind of fix that, but I'm gonna go ahead and start a new chat. And so I'm gonna go to agent mode
And
again.
we're gonna run a third one.
Yeah, let's do
This
something
is
that's
crazy.
kinda easy. Do you wanna do, design an automated financial analysis dashboard?
We could.
I wanna see it give me a spreadsheet, I think is what I want. Let's see.
Yeah, I saw Ethan Mollick said that one of the things that's really impressed him about this is that it can do really good work in a spreadsheet, including formulas, which is frankly not a thing anyone's doing beautifully just yet.
I agree
Uh,
with you.
and this did really well on OpenAI's spreadsheet benchmark. That's apparently a thing.
Yeah,
And
that's supposedly one of its strengths.
it scored, like, I wanna say, like, a 42 to a 45, somewhere in there, I can't remember off the top of my head, but, it was significantly higher than any of their previous models. I don't have that data to compare to other companies right
It's
now, so forgive
certainly
me for
better
that.
than Copilot. What it was like 45% versus,
20?
Copilot XL. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Sorta doubled the performance of the
And it
standard one.
listed people at 70, and I feel like that's a really generous 70 for how humans I know use spreadsheets. Like, I look at a lot of spreadsheets during a week. I mean, a lot of spreadsheets every single week. And most people, myself included, are not spreadsheet wizards.
True.
Um, there are plenty of people who are, but most people are comfortable functioning in a simple grid. A lot of people aren't comfortable with formulas beyond like sum, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so I think there's a real cool ability here and some neat stuff to discuss later on down the road about AI friendly spreadsheets and stuff that we've had discussions about on the side in the past. And
So real quick, let's explain what's happening on the screen here
okay,
for people who are watching. So what I did is I said design an automated financial analysis dashboard. Download the last 12 months of stock data for the top 20 S&P 500 companies. Create a comprehensive spreadsheet with automated calculations for PE ratios, volatility metrics, correlation matrices, and performance indicators. And then we said here use terminal to run statistical analysis. So I wonder if the reason it was using the terminal in the last example was because we asked it to. So I'm gonna look into that. But it says start by giving me the spreadsheet and then go from there. So then, understood. I will begin by gathering the list of the top 20 companies, blah, blah, blah. And we've already seen it kind of work on that. And now it's building this in the terminal. So I wonder what happens if we do this same prompt without the terminal, if that makes it
yeah, because I
simpler.
don't think we have to tell it what tools to use. My gut
You
says this
don't.
knows what tools to use, which is
Yeah.
kinda goes back to that unified vision of a GPT-5 where you don't have to know, and some of that is already worked into 4.0. I was doing a thing last night where I swear to you, 4.0 called deep research. I don't know how it did it. 4.0 has been thinking for a minute now. Like, I've been able to get requests through that it spends time thinking on, like it's a research model. And I don't know if that's me being piped through to a different model or what, but I haven't heard much talk about that.
Yeah, that's interesting. I really haven't heard anything either, other than perhaps the automatic. Well, I don't know how to describe it. Like filtering on the back end, routing on the back end is sort of pushing
Yeah.
it in that direction. So what's happening here now is I gave it the same exact prompt as before, and I just took the terminal stuff out. So I really want to see this spreadsheet in action. Now,
Yeah.
one thing to keep in mind with a lot of this stuff, which I think this is a good observation, is that the problem with finding all of this data and connecting all of this data is siloed data. Like so much of this
Yeah.
is on different websites where you have to have certain permissions and access. You can give agent access to your data in a couple different ways. One, you can let it sign into your account for you, but the other one
Mhm.
is through connectors. So if you have connectors, if you see down here under sources, you could actually connect different data sources for it to access.
And it's user friendly. Anyone could do it. That is not a thing that's like intimidating. It's not a big process where you're doing anything fancy. It's just like connecting your bank account to Venmo or something like that.
Yeah. Check this out, Corey. So we took the terminal part out. It still ended up using the terminal as part of its process.
Okay.
So now it's saying I need to download. I'll open the Yahoo Finance URL. This is interesting.
Wow.
I'm gonna compare this to the other one. So I'm gonna scroll down here.
I
Let's
wanna do
see.
a project, I'd like to take and get an investment plan from it, put $1,000 on something. Not that I have that to spare right now, but I would love to one day
It's
just
dedicated
be
to a
like,
guitar.
"I have $1,000. What should I do with it?" Uh, what could I do today to make that $1,000 become $2,000 by the end of the next 30 days? Uh,
That would be a really interesting
actually,
test.
we should do that. Maybe not
You
right
got
now,
to
but
be
that's a
careful with that too, though, because they give very explicit instructions, like not to YOLO, like to get it to not YOLO your money, which is very possible if you give it access to your bank account. That's why like half of their live announcement for this was warning people like, please be very careful with this. It has a
yeah.
lot of risk attached to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I just, it's a thing I've wanted to do for probably 2 years. Like, I've thought, like we weren't there yet, but I'm willing to bet this will get closer than anything we've seen before.
Definitely.
I mean, like, if it doesn't lose my money, it's already done better than I do sometimes. Yeah,
Facts. Yeah, for
I
sure.
can lose it just fine on my own. This is definitely, has the I won't say necessarily smarter, though I'd argue it is, but it definitely has the ability to process an amount of financial data that I am not capable of processing in my head. If it can do that without hallucinating, very cool. And honestly, I haven't seen any signs of like hallucinations or those kind of problems in the little time we've been sitting here.
I'm
I
seeing
mean, I've seen
something
maybe some
happen,
hiccups.
which is kind of interesting with this financial analysis one. So both of them came to this website called Stook, Stooq, and they got Stook. Like they got stuck. And I don't
They
know if
got
that's
stupid.
because it's a bad gateway or what. I'm really not sure what's happening there. We'd have to dig into it and really look at it on the back end to figure it out. But you see this here? It says
Yeah.
bad gateway. So I'm gonna try that something. I'm gonna take over the browser, say I understand, and
Yeah, because we haven't done
probably
that yet. Ooh, I
let's just
wonder
do.
if we could send it to a site of our choosing and
Oh
say,
yeah.
"Work from here."
Yeah, what's a good stock analysis website? I wonder if we get it to use Perplexity.
Ooh, that would be cool.
Let's see. Where is it? Right here.
There it is. Can you log it in?
You don't need
Or is
to
it
for
already logged into
Perplexity.
yours?
You don't need to for Perplexity. It's like Google. Best
Oh, that's right.
website, S&P 500 top 20. I'm writing it like a Google prompt. You would want to
Maybe
write this
Tracker
more.
too.
That's accessible by an AI. Oh man, I can't spell. All right.
The ability to type is going down quick, isn't it?
It's in a cognitive decline.
I'm
Okay,
using
iShares.
Whisperflow every day, and yeah, there we go. Now, do you hand it back over to that and let it use that research you've just gathered?
Yeah, let's give it back control and see if it can figure out what I was thinking. Meanwhile, we'll compare me not messing with it. Looks like this one's figured out that that was a dead end. So it's trying something else. The user is taking control of the virtual browser.
Okay.
It's kind of mad at me because it was trying to do something. And now it's like the page changed unexpectedly to a perplexity result. Hmm.
I'll see if the file I downloaded is gone forever. Oh, it's passive aggressive. Nice.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Some idiot grabbed the mouse and
How sentient do you think this is? I know that's a ridiculous question, but
it's one of those things where that's a question I ask a lot. I'm always reading responses and I'm like, and it says things like, "Well, I'm thinking I could approach it this way, but maybe that's not the right way." And I'm like, it's doubting. It's doubting itself. How do
oh, this
I
is
don't know.
interesting. A quick interruption. So basically, I said ignore Stuke, it doesn't work, and then it prompted me. It's like, are you writing code? Meet Codex, and then it basically gave me a link to the Codex agent.
Wow.
The only thing that's kind of annoying about all this is that so far I've not got a spreadsheet, and all I wanted was a spreadsheet.
Yeah. Whoa, we did get a report back on our guitar search.
Yeah,
Okay.
what's really important to you, right, Corey?
Yeah. Whoa, slow your roll. This is what we're after. Oh, okay, hang on. Look at that 83 there from Queen's Vintage. I'm not familiar with them.
Should we check it out? Make sure it's legit.
Let's check it out and see if it's real. Oh.
Pretty
Oh. It's out. It's gone.
unavailable.
It's sold out. Oh, I'm
So
sorry.
what it didn't realize is it didn't realize that it was sold out.
Oh, it says it. It did realize it. It told us that. Look,
Oh,
right in the center column.
good catch. Good
Human
catch.
error. Sorry.
Wow.
Dang,
Yeah.
it was the one though. I'll tell you that.
Wow, that's amazing.
A new guide. A new guide for convincing the critical stakeholder.
It's a little different too. Offer compromises, suggest selling another piece of gear, explain personal benefits. Playing a high quality instrument can inspire creativity, reduce stress, and provide a constructive hobby. Uh, yeah, not bad. All right.
Cool.
What I want to check though is I want to check our spreadsheet or
To
our
be clear, I'd also
presentation.
like to say I realize I say the thing about my wife as a joke. It's an on joke with both of us, and, like, I would just talk to her, and she would say, "That's pretty cool, go for it." I absolutely would
You
not
don't
use
need an
this to go
AI's help.
manipulate my wife's behavior. I just wanted to say that.
Good to know. Okay, so we got a presentation. So the first prompt that
Okay.
we asked Agent to do, it was able to give us a presentation, SEO
Oh,
tools, competitive intelligence. It's got an agenda, pricing comparison, feature analysis, value versus cost, SWOT, blah blah blah. Okay, pricing comparison. So it's got Hrefs,
okay.
SEMrush, Moz Pro, Screaming, SERP I wonder if these prices are 100% accurate. I have to go back and
This
check.
is absolutely why they're working on a solution like Google Drive or Microsoft Office.
I mean, yeah, it
Actually,
makes a
I'm
ton
gonna
of
say
sense.
working on. I not working on. I we clearly have, or this isn't here, I would say.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
think
know, this is
something
too
on the back end. What's an
yeah.
interesting challenge for OpenAI is, okay, if they're gonna be a cloud provider, they're gonna need some of their data centers to be for storage, right?
Well, and with the amount I don't know, though, with the amount of data they're gonna use and the number of data centers they're going to probably have at some point, I'm willing to bet that the amount they need for that end of things would be comparatively small. Then, um, maybe not, maybe not. Maybe I'm oversimplifying it a little, and I'm honestly, it's not a subject I'm qualified to speak on. I will say that while this is not like a gorgeous presentation, it's a heck of a start. Like, the data's there, the information's there. I mean, I can go through and make it pretty.
Yeah, I agree with you. And what's it? I think we got a phone a friend call from our SEO expert. It sounds like the SEMrush callouts are pretty accurate according to our phone a
Oh,
friend. So that's good to know.
wow. That's good to know.
So what
That's
happens
good
if
to know.
I ask it, I'll say, this is great, but make this presentation beautiful.
Ooh, there we go.
Let's see what happens here.
I like how we spend so much time talking about AI, but we ignore the fact that we're not using capital letters, punctuation, or spelling correctly, and it's still figuring it out from there.
Doesn't need it. That's why this stuff is really amazing.
I judge it when I type into it like a monkey. It's this is pretty awesome.
So it's reviewing the slides. I wonder how it'll edit it. Let's see if we got a spreadsheet. All right. So far, okay, okay. Stuke is working, so they've gotten this website that they are apparently obsessed with to
Okay.
work.
This website has been so excited about chasing, yeah.
Now here, something's happening. This guy's on GitHub. I don't know what he's doing. Um,
Uh-oh. That could go bad.
uh, Chrome overlay. What website is it on? I'm just gonna ask it. What are you doing?
I just wanna take a minute here to say something that there have been a few times since the release of ChatGPT, like, the first time I used it, which was the first few days in November 2022? Is
Hmm.
that right? 2022? Um, when ChatGPT 4 dropped, when O1 dropped, um, when I first discovered Data Analyzer,
Hmm. Yeah,
um, and, using Deep Research and O3 Pro, this is one of those whoa moments for me.
I'm feeling it. Yeah, I'm feeling
I'm
this is
like, I'm
definitely a
feeling it,
whoa.
I'm a little giddy, you know? Like, it's a moment where you immediately feel like the paradigm has changed again, and, like, this is what other people have to step up for, and it makes me wonder if Sam Altman wasn't sitting back in his easy chair watching the world freak out about Grok 4 Heavy a few weeks ago,
Mm.
and just kinda, chuckling with a nice glass of scotch.
I don't so I love that visual. I don't think so. I think they're always perpetually terrified, which is why they're constantly streaming ahead and working on something new and trying to push the envelope.
My favorite meme is the one that's the cycle, and it's like, "OpenAI releases the greatest model in the history of the world. Gemini releases the greatest model in the history of the world. Anthropic releases the greatest model," and there's always this little dot that says, "You are here," in the cycle, and that's so just real.
Yeah.
It's so, absolutely how it's going, and, yeah, this is cool. And part of the reason I'm so impressed is even not even just what we're watching it do right now, but, like, historically speaking, in the AI space, something comes out and it's okay. And over the course of the next 30 days, 90 days, 180 days, that 6-month mark, like, by January, every one of us will be using this every day.
Here's what I'll say about what I'm observing so far. I think if you want to do things exactly the way that you want to do them and you like to do them, then you might want a more refined tool than this. You might want to use N8N to design your workflow to use exactly the application that you want at exactly the step in the process that you want, or at least you can give the agent node a little bit more like freedom by using the agent node, but then you can still kind of give it access to the MCPs and the connectors that you want it to use. If you don't care how the job gets done and you just want the job done, this tool is for you.
The answer may be both. The other thing I would say is how far out of the realm of possibility is it that there will be an N8N connector in here one day soon where you can just say, "Go build me an agent that'll do this and handle it for me," and it goes and handles building your N8N agent. Like, that is not a difficult task for an AI to do for you. It could
Wow.
absolutely go spin it up.
So here's where I think the perils of that are is I think it's totally possible from a capability standpoint, but it would have to then go and get the API keys and the
That's
logins
fair.
for N8N.
I guess, and I'm assuming you would have your credentials shared in there somehow, like, already saved within your N8N account, or, or for that matter, it's getting them from whatever it has access to in other connectors/MCP connections.
Yeah, you're totally right. I think there's definitely a way to do it. I'm sure somebody's working on that right now.
I'll
I mean,
bet
just
we're doing it by
imagine.
early next year. My money's
I
on
mean,
Q1.
oh, by early next week, Corey,
Yeah,
somebody on YouTube is gonna figure out how to
by the
do this.
time this podcast comes out, you'll already be doing this. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm
There
sure I will personally when this podcast goes live, I will personally include a tutorial video for how to hook up your N8N with because with agent because I'm sure somebody will
that
have
means when
something
the
like that.
camera goes off today, Grant will be working on doing exactly that, and before we record the next episode, it will be a thing we are able to do, and,
I I'm almost positive that it will be possible. It's just the question is, so like I was listening to an interview with the Perplexity CEO Aravind Srinivas on Matt Berman's podcast, and he was talking about how it's the reason why he's developing a browser is because he wants to do as much of this stuff that's happening in the cloud here locally on the computer's on the user's computer because
yeah,
when you have it log into all of this stuff for you, even though this is a cloud environment that's staged and it's not on your computer, so it's not
yeah,
downloading god knows what onto your computer here, it, you still are giving all of your access to a remote computer somewhere in the cloud,
yes.
that now OpenAI or the agents or anyone who gets access to those on the back end has access to. So there is a security risk in doing that. A huge
Of
one,
course, you're
actually.
already giving it to likely either Google or Microsoft right now too, who
It's true.
have the same tools and all of your data, you know, and don't have a data policy that they're fighting the US government to be able to delete your stuff too, so, I mean, there's there's some interesting elements there and a lot of things to consider. Grant, what do you think this means for We've talked a lot about industries along the way and how these things impact them. Like, we've talked about writers, we've talked about all kinds of fields, but what about I feel like this one is a moment for engineering almost, because there's a lot of things you would go to an engineer for that this will do for me.
I think that's been basically the thrust of AI development over the past 2 years, if not the whole time, is that the first job that it'll automate is the engineer. Now, keep in mind, I think there's always gonna be a role for engineers to come in and fix whatever the AI comes up with
Yeah. Yeah.
and create novel tools. I'm sure we'll get to a point where AI is able to create novel tools, but the jury's still out at this point if it's able to do that or not right now.
But you're
I would
definitely looking at a need for smaller staffs and less jobs.
Yeah, I mean, this is already showing up in the software, graduates having trouble finding a job right now. That's definitely happening.
Teams are getting smaller, more streamlined, and they're doing going to be at some point here. It's still a thing all companies are still kind of figuring out, frankly. But, we're absolutely looking at a situation where a team will be doing a lot more work a year from now than what they are today, and it's gonna be lighter, and the team may be lighter. I mean, there's definitely streamlining in the future of, like, what do we really need to do this at the level we want to do this? And honestly, like it or not, they're fair business questions to ask. If you're running a business, you have to be asking those questions. It's your job.
I think from the perspective of the worker or the engineer, we'll just limit it to computer engineering because I think they're the only ones right now who are at risk 100%. Um, I would say that I would just be looking at creating either your own company or your own small team, joining a small team
Yeah.
to compete. Because what this is showing us here is unless you're like the big tech who has all the cloud servers and has like the AI models, like whether Google or AWS or Microsoft, I mean, we'll see how that shakes out with their deal with
Yeah.
OpenAI, or OpenAI. Like like this gives you incredible tools to compete with everybody else who is not those 5 people. Um,
Just like it gives it to a business, it's also giving you that same ability. That's a good
to
call
compete
out,
with
Grant.
to compete with giant businesses. So my theory of where all this goes is a lot more smaller companies, like call it millions of smaller companies, forms
Altman's
with these tools.
one-man billion-dollar company that he's joked about a couple of times, that they've been waiting for the day when
It's not a
there's a
joke.
one-person billion-dollar company. No, it's not a joke, and I mean, like, it probably exists already and just isn't at $1 billion.
Now, I think the giant risk that this has for small companies is that you become entirely reliant on those 5 companies I just mentioned.
Yes, you do.
Whoever creates this tool, if you're using this every day as part of your business, you're beholden to them. The same way that anyone who's on the
Yeah.
cloud right now, instead of having their own data centers, their own computers, is beholden to whatever price the big cloud companies want to charge. So that is the risk that comes with this. I'm sure over
Yeah,
time the prices will go up, the frog will boil.
and, the thing about being beholden is, like, Google did a thing this year that's exactly that. They've released Gemini, they want more people using it, and they force added every Google Workspace business account in the country, to a tune of many, many dollars a head on top of what they already paid. And, that's the nature of always being beholden to whoever has your data.
In my experience, this kind of reminds me, and I felt this way with deep research and thinking models in general. This reminds me of what I observed living with my dad. So, my dad was an engineer and he worked on chips and one of the chip design. And one of the things that he would do is he would often, I don't exactly understand the mechanics of this, but he would be working on something, head down at his desk for hours and hours and hours, and then he would have to let it go off and render or compile or whatever it is, and he'd walk away from his computer for like a couple hours and just let it cook. I feel like this is going to turn work into that to a certain extent, where you spend a lot of time upfront figuring out exactly what you need it to do, and then you like create like 10 of these instances. Like I've got 3 here running right now,
Where your
no
work is
problem.
idle. Yeah, yeah, and this is 24 hours after release. We've got 3 agents right now
Yeah.
off doing work for us while we sit here and just talk smack and laugh about it and talk about the future. Since we've come back in and we've done all this, is this truly agentic AI in your view today? And if not, what will it take to get there?
I mean, I was never the skeptical one
Yeah.
about it, about agents being possible.
Which
So
is
I'm
funny
curious
because
for
you're
your
always the
answer.
skeptical one of the two of us. That's so funny.
Yeah. Well, don't get me wrong. I'm skeptical about this. I'm
Yeah.
skeptical about the actual practical use cases. Like I was watching an interview with Dan Shipper, who's the CEO of Every. Check them out. And he was on the TPPN pod, and
Mhm.
he was basically saying like, so there's two problems with agent. One is like there's certain things that you want to be more manually involved in, working on, and this is sort of more of like a set it and forget it task. But then the other one is that we're so used to watching it's such a beautiful UI, and the experience of watching it is so unique that you almost get glued to it and you're watching it and you're wasting
And I'm
time
not going
by
and doing
watching it.
something else.
Yeah, so you have to kind of retrain your brain to like do what I was just saying with my dad, like set it and forget it. Like go tinker, like really get what you want it to do, set that and let it go off and cook.
That's fair.
So I think that that's really interesting. But I am skeptical of this being, like will it be able to do everything at the level of quality that I expect? Like maybe this is enough that you could take this presentation here and run with it, or maybe take it into PowerPoint or whatever and add your own design elements to it. Maybe there's another tool that can take this as it is and beautify it. That might
Yeah.
be possible
That's
too.
true too.
Um, so as long as the data here is correct, like this is pretty much good to go. But there's maybe other tasks where you do need to be more involved, and in order to give it all the permissions you need, you have to be you have to be more hands
I
on.
think it's fair.
So I'm skeptical of if it will be as useful as it appears here.
And I think
What's your
there
take?
might be both opportunities there too, like for tasks where you do want that level of specificity and how it's being done, as well as tasks that you really don't care. Like probably everyone has tasks that fit into both buckets, if I had to guess.
I'd agree with that.
For my answer, it's agentic AI. It made the decisions on its own. We didn't program anything. We didn't write any code. We wrote sentences in a box and told it what we wanted, and it figured out, okay, I need to go browse the internet. I need to search for these. I need to figure out the financing. I need to consider what the structure of this is, and it called the tools it needed to do the jobs. Some that we requested, some it did on its own. It spit out a viable spreadsheet, not spreadsheet, but it's still working on that part, but it spit out a
Yeah,
viable
spreadsheet is
presentation.
TBD.
Like, I have absolutely been in presentations with worse appearing spreadsheets than that. Like, my only real criticism is it's a little boring. Like,
Mm.
I would class it up a little bit. It's probably the biggest thing I would change. Um,
What aspect is boring?
just the layout,
Oh,
and, I
interesting.
would say the charts are a little dull, just, plain white charts. They don't I mean, and the truth is, I
Yeah.
don't like a flashy presentation, but I feel like needs a spot of color somewhere or something just to give it a little zhuzh, and it didn't show the whole image on the front. There's a little criticism there, but I mean, I'm nitpicking because, again, we're talking about 24 hours in. Less than 24, well, right at 24 hours in, and it's not gonna get worse, as is the saying that I say this all the time, and I absolutely stole that comment, but I think it's going to continue to get better and continue to get access to things, that make it increasingly more agentic, like scheduling and dispatching. I think that's big. I think when I'm able to say, "Listen, I want you to do this every morning. I wanna come in at 6 in the morning and have a report of my most important emails. I want the top 5 AI headlines for the day, and I want you to go through my calendar and gather any documents or notes I need to be prepared for every meeting I'm walking into today. And I would like those at 6 a.m. when I sit down at my desk." Like you can't beat that. And I want it to know when there's a tool that what, this is a better task for an N8N style AI agent. I want it to know that, and I want it to then just go do the thing and come back with the output.
Yeah, I mean, if it already had your access to your end-to-end account with all of your AI credentials
Yeah.
pre-saved. Doesn't have to copy any of that stuff. Which, by the way, they do say that you should take over when you're when you're entering like personal information, so that the AI, you don't give that stuff to the AI.
Yeah.
Just a quick side note, but yeah, like
Yeah.
if it already has all that stuff, there's no reason it couldn't just go set up a workflow for you.
Yeah, I mean, like, just go do the thing. That's what I want. I want it to be an
Yeah.
interface that just does the thing that I need done. I want it to, to move closer and closer to being that true assistant. And I think if you'd showed me this 4 years ago with no context and no knowledge of tools like ChatGPT, I would have said this was, science fiction magic or something, I mean, if you go back a few years. And I'm willing to bet that what we're looking at in 90 days, in 6 months, in a year from now, like like, we're 13 months out from when 4.0 first launched. There were no research models. O1 didn't officially launch until January of this year. Like, there was, I think, a beta version in December as part of their, ship what was it? What was it? Shipmas, Merry Shipmas. And,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
by the way, hats off, a year ago, people were making jokes about OpenAI not shipping anything, and now they ship more than I can keep up with, as they said
So
they would
so
be.
Corey, we have a alarm interruption happen because we got the spreadsheet. The spreadsheet
Oh,
is
we got
here.
the spreadsheet. Let's look at the spreadsheet before we close out. Oh,
Okay, so this is a spreadsheet. It's got all of the top 20 on the S&P, starting with Nvidia, Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, Meta, all the way to J&J. It has the PE ratios of all of these. It has the annual returns. You'd probably want to download this, put it in Excel, and format it in terms of percentages, but it's got the raw data
wow.
there. We would have to go through and double check all of these, but I mean, so far it's been pretty accurate, which
Yeah.
is kind of interesting. So I wonder how many of these will be right or wrong. I wouldn't want to do this with like 500 cells or
No.
5,000 cells, because I think the error rate will definitely increase with the scale. But
But we're gonna try
pretty
it one of these
impressive.
days soon if I had to guess. I have a
Yeah,
spreadsheet
yeah.
with 166,000 166,000 rows and, like, 100 columns that I would love to just see what it can do with. Remove
I
some
think
PII from it, but
the next step here was what I'm seeing is like, okay, this is just a preview, right?
yeah.
Imagine if ChatGPT basically builds its own spreadsheet editor and PowerPoint editor into this thing, which that might be what they're working on next to make it really easy. This is the beginning of America's super app era. So in China, they've had super apps for years. They've had WeChat and all these other apps that basically where everything you want to access is in it. It's essentially a browser with a bunch of little micro applications inside of it. This is basically what ChatGPT is going towards in this phase. If you're able to edit your spreadsheets in here, connect it to all your external data, and edit all of that stuff in this app, like we're looking at the first US super app.
I think you're exactly right. And, there's maybe, while that's kind of problematic, at the same time, you should see how many screens of apps I have on my iPhone. Maybe that's a refreshing bit of, minimalism in my
Well,
life.
most apps, like most people only use like 10% of their apps like every day, right? Like there's really like only about 10% that you or maybe 20% that you're like, these are my main apps I go to all the time. Besides that, any other functionality, if you can just spin it up with code and then have it be working, like the next step is like the code works and runs inside of the ChatGPT application, right?
Yeah.
Like then you're off to the races because you're like, any functionality I need, unless it's something I didn't know I wanted that somebody else created, I can just run it inside
There's
the
an
app.
awful big mobile app industry that's probably has its knees shaking a little bit.
I mean, we're not there yet, people, but it's coming.
But, we're also not blind. We know the direction it's headed and the speed with which it's getting there. Like, every time we think, "Oh, look, it's slowed down," something happens that's like, "Oh, no, no, not yet." And, we'll see what happens. Right now, uh, there's a lot of companies that are cooking with gas. and they are blowing out some great stuff. I mean, we've had Gemini 2.5 Pro and the various other tools they've dropped. We've had Claude's new tools, which are also sick. X came and surprised us with, Grok 4, which is problematic, but impressive in a lot of ways nonetheless. And now we've got this, and there's still a big announcement we keep hearing's coming in July about maybe GPT-5. So,
Mhm.
if you take this and you put, a new motor in its engine bay, uh,
Oh, quick side note, this does have a new motor in it. So Swix from Latent Space and Small AI, the AI newsletter, really great creator, love his content. I think they also have the AI Engineer Summit. He pointed out that when you compare the benchmarks that OpenAI released with this, there is actually a new model under the hood because they compared it separately from O3 when they
ooh,
benchmarked it. So his theory was that this is basically like O4 full that's under the hood
okay,
here because they didn't call it GPT-5. So
okay.
that means there's
That's
still
that's
another
a fair
model
theory,
coming.
I would say. Yeah, we haven't seen O4
Yeah,
full yet, and I'll be honest, man, O3 is like, there's not a lot left that I need a model to do for me, and that might be a conversation we discuss one day, is that the list of stuff I need from it is shrinking till we get robots. I got dishes, I got laundry, I got stuff I wanna pawn off real bad, man.
yeah, that's a topic for another
It
day.
is. Well, guys, thanks so much for watching. We really hope you enjoyed this, and I'm so glad we came back and recorded this because I think this has been a lot of fun, really eye-opening, and I hope, just kinda seeing, our first impressions as we tinker with this too. I hope that was fun and a good approach, and if it is, we'll do that with more tools as they come. Please, if you don't, join 575-ish thousand other people who read the Neuron every morning. We'd love to have you. The Neuron.ai, sign up today. We've got a lot of other content, expanded articles based on like some of what we can't fit in the newsletter because every day there's so much more than we can possibly cram in an inbox. So,
Facts.
and Grant does a great job with that stuff. So check that out. Follow us on Spotify, YouTube, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. And most of all, though, thanks for watching. We love doing this, and we love to see that people are watching and enjoying, and hopefully, getting a kick out of learning with us because we're doing our best too. I mean, things change every day, so we're constantly in a cycle of learning. So just like you are,
That's
we hope we
true.
can share what we find along the way. But for now, farewell, humans. We'll see you next time.